Welcome back, listeners, to the BizBlend podcast, where business meets bold ideas in the messy middle of growth, innovation, and culture. I'm your host, Sana, and today, we are diving into something really interesting, which I haven't had yet talked about on BizBlend: the creator economy. Not just the buzzword, but the real mechanics of how creators, brands, and platforms are shaping the way we consume, connect, and frankly, compete for attention. And joining me is Nate Fox. He's a creative marketing leader and founder who's led content and growth at Google, Lyft, and Robinhood, and is now behind Bad Cards, which is a viral social gaming platform played by over, hear this, 7 million people. Now, Nate's here to unpack what it really takes to stand out in this oversaturated world, this cluttered world, and why some ideas spread while others fall flat. And we are not here to sugarcoat the hustle, listeners. We are here to talk strategy, culture, creativity, and the brutal reality of building something people actually care about. So, with that, Nate, welcome to the show. And it is such an honor to have you with us.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for your time, and yeah, really excited to kind of chop things up. And to your point, not hide behind stuff, but we could talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever you're looking for.
Absolutely, Nate. Brilliant. Okay, so this term creator economy, it gets thrown around a lot, and it's so interesting to see that with respect to the earlier times, now people are actually acknowledging this. But from a lens meet, working across tech giants like Google, Lyft, and then startups as well, what do you think people still misunderstand about it?
Yeah, that's a great question. To your point, the creator economy, it's kind of a mixed bag of things, and I think that people use a lot of different words, as if they all mean the same thing: an influencer, a creator, or this or that. And the reality is that there's so much more nuance to it, and I think that that is one of the biggest things that many brands, big and small, are still missing. Is that when you're working with creators and you're working within the creator economy, there's going to be things that feel organic. There's going to be things that feel off. It really just depends on how you're setting up your campaign. And a lot of brands and companies, they'll look to creators to just get whatever message they want across, versus really working with them and integrating with them as a strategic partner in their marketing efforts and how they connect with people. And I think that's a big miss. We all need to understand that these creators, they've attracted an audience. They've built something really beautiful with their own personal brand. And if
Mhm.
if our brand is going to come in and work with them, we can't just put a script down their throat and expect it all to work out. We need to be able to work with them effectively, understanding their core demographic and how it can link with ours. I think it's a big miss right now in the space.
Hmm, I agree. I agree. And what are the myths people buy into about being a creator or building for them? Some what I believe, it may not be right. That we always look out for content, and we expect that, okay, let's make something which can go instantly viral, and that's it. I've achieved the success. But what do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I love what you just brought up. It's the idea of virality. I think a lot of people, I mean, I work with many brands who are, hey, let's make a viral campaign as if it's something that just happens, like sure, there are methods and ways that we can stack the chips in our favor. But the reality is at the end of the day, creating a viral campaign is that shouldn't be the goal. It should be create campaigns or create content or whatever it may be within your business, or if you're a creator that connects with people. Because if you think about the stuff that really goes viral, it's primarily things that connect with people, whether it be through wit and humor, whether it be through, something that's more serious. I mean, there's a variety of ways you can connect with people. Um, but just saying, "Hey, this needs to go viral," that's not really a goal. It's, "Hey, this needs to connect with people." And then from there, if you can hit that, well, then there's a much higher chance of it spreading, having a much larger reach, and going what many people call quote unquote viral.
Yeah. So the basics of brand building and marketing still remain intact. Never changes. Okay, and that's where my next question is, Nate. You have actually built brands and products that have, actually gone viral. So, can you break down the difference between chasing virality versus building something which is sustainable, and why so many creators burn out chasing the former?
Yeah, that's such a great question. You know, our platform, we have a little bit of a different story. You know, it's kind of what I was saying before is I'll give you the very high level and 10,000 foot view of what it was is our technical co-founder, him and his family, they were playing these party games every Friday with their friends and family. Their family moved away. And so him being an engineer, he's like, I gotta make something that we can still do this with. And that's what he did. And this was right before the pandemic. The family loved it so much that they're like, "Dude, you gotta make this, public. You can't just keep this to us." And so, he, cleaned it up, got it online, and within 2 months, we had over 1,000,000 users. And I say all of that, kind of to double down on the point that I said before is that, his name's Jake. Jake's goal wasn't to build a viral gaming platform. It was to build something that him and his family and his friends would love and connect with and use and, kind of just have a good time with. And because of that, that's what I believe really drove the engagement that we saw over time and we still see. Um, and so I think that that's again, not to say the same thing again or just in a different way, but that's really what it's all about. It's how are we, whether it be making content or building products, or it doesn't, it's not just within content, it's with everything. How are we building things rather that really connect and resonate with people, or and it doesn't need to be super useful. Ours is a gaming site. It's not like, oh, people need this to save their lives, but it's something that people love and enjoy, and they found ways to modify and do fun things with. And so anytime I look at a challenge of whether it be I work for another company or I'm doing things on my own, it's okay. What are we building in the next 6, 12, 18 months that we know or we really feel is going to connect with our audience and it's going to drive them to convert or to share with their friends or actually use it on a day-to-day basis or even a month-to-month basis like some of our games.
Mm, that's an interesting story. And um, in a world where everyone's right now a creator in some or the other way, how does a brand, or rather an indie creator, how can they carve out space that's authentic without getting kind of drowned out in the sameness, or just hopping onto the bandwagon of trends and uh, you know uh, all the viral stuff out there?
Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge, right? It's, how do we even in okay, cool, we're making things that we think will connect with people, but we still want to stand out, right? Like it's really important. I think if you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have had a different answer, but lately I want to kind of go off of what I've been seeing lately within different market trends. I don't know if you know this, but content marketing performs at a 6x multiple of traditional advertising, meaning the ads that you see on Instagram when you're scrolling or what have you, someone posting about that thing or having content around that thing will perform at a 6 times better than that Instagram ad. And I lead with that, um, because I just think it kind of paints the scale and the scope of what we're looking at here when we talk about content and being a creator and creating for others. But then we go to the point of what you're saying is how do we break out? Okay, so content marketing performs at that level. How do we break out? I think a lot of times, or what we saw in the past, is many people trying to do these big, grand things, like the Mr. Beast model. It's like, what can I do that really turns heads, or whatever, and make a big kind of stunt or whatever that may be. Um, and that used to really work. However, it's funny, I actually think because of the growth in AI and in the wake of AI, over the last 6 to 12 months, we've seen micro and niche creators start to really break out. And when we talk about, how do we make our stuff stand out and how do we kind of break that mold? Um, I think a lot of times people think, okay, I'm going to break the mold by trying to boil the ocean and do everything. When in all reality, I think it's a lot more about how do we dial in and how do we niche down on the thing that, maybe I'm really passionate about that other people could get on board with, or, whatever that may be, and drive that niche. And then from there, once you get a solid base audience, then expand. And we've taken that strategy with bad cards. I've had many ideas and plans to break out and to be more of an agnostic gaming platform, to add more family friendly games and more introspective games, things of that nature. Um, and I think we will one day, but because of these trends, really what we're doing honestly now is we're doubling down. We're doubling down on the things that we know work well, because if we can grow our base audience in that, that's much easier to break the noise and kind of break the mold in a niche versus trying to break the mold in general, of just the general ethos of life. Um, and then once we start to hit, really significant metrics, 10x what we're seeing now, if not more, um, well, then we'll start to break out into other channels and things of that nature.
Mhm. So as I mentioned about bad cards, Nate, um, straightforward. Was it strategy, luck, or timing? I mean, it exploded to 7 million players, and that's not a joke. What was it?
Uh, can I say a combo? Um, I honestly, I think to start, to be real, I think it was luck. I think that luck and timing was a big part of it. We hit the market right at the right time. The pandemic hit. People were chronically inside. They needed something to do, and this was a great way to connect with people through the pandemic. I mean, we had hundreds of messages from people. I mean, we're mentioned in articles about how our site during the pandemic felt like a breath of levity, in the craziness that was the lockdown. And so there's a lot of luck and timing in that. But what I think makes our team really strong is that we're capitalizing on that luck and the timing with a really strategic background. I came on board and we've started to really build out. What we're doing now is, you mentioned the creator economy. We're building creator tools where creators will be able to launch their own custom games with no code. It's going to be an easy thing. Um, and play those games with their audience and sell those games with their audience, because that can help them drive revenue but also engagement. And so I think that we started with luck and timing, and now we have this incredible strategic backbone of, okay, cool, we were lucky to hit the first wave. Well, how do we now go from 7 million players to 70 million players to 700 million players, over time?
Well, that's smart. That's smart, Nate. And as you mentioned about pandemic, I think one question pops up in my mind is, do you see any major shift in the creator economy, especially during pandemic and post pandemic? When now almost the entire world is now shifting back to uh, the uh, the situation, or back to the same kind of conditions we used to have before even the pandemic, or the idea of staying at home or lockdown even existed.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that's so strong. I think the shift that I've been seeing, and it kind of plays into that niche idea that I've been talking about a little bit. And it's not, I don't know if it's just the pandemic, or again, if AI is kind of, a component to this as well, because now, for me anyway, when I look something up, I typically look it up on ChatGPT now. I don't really go to Google anymore. And those things are really those results are really different, because Google, you would then from Google go to other websites and see other content and things of that nature, where ChatGPT just kind of answers the question for you. Um, and I say all that because now it feels like, at least for me and in my cadence and how I look at creators, is instead of looking to creators for generic recommendations for systems and structures and things of that nature, because AI solves that for me a lot of times. Um, I look at creators mainly for local recommendations, things to do to build community. And I think that I would say that you're kind of seeing that transition across the board, where during the pandemic, it was an incredible time for creators to make, mainly channels that were fueled off of entertainment. People needed to be entertained in a world where they literally couldn't walk outside anymore. Like they needed some sort of entertainment and connection. Um, and I think that entertainment can now be found in a lot of different areas. But what people still lack is community and connection. And so I feel like a lot of creators you're seeing now are like, hey, join my Discord, join my Patreon, join my community thing. Um, but yeah, I think that those are the main changes that we're seeing is now creators have gone from just being entertainment. I say just being, but primarily being entertainment to now being much more community and connection.
That's true. That's true. Oh, wow. Okay, Nate. So before we wrap up, this is a bit of a question on the flip side. Some argue that the creator economy is just another phrase for gig work in disguise, and it kind of glamorizes unstable income and unpaid labor. So, what's your take on that criticism?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? You broke up in the first part of it.
Yeah, sure. So some argue that the creator economy is just another phrase for gig work in disguise, and it kind of glamorizes unstable income and unpaid labor. So what's your take on this criticism?
Yeah, I mean, my because I've worked at companies where, the gig economy is exactly what, Lyft. Lyft is a gig economy company. That's what exactly what it is. I think honestly, I personally think it's and I don't want to invalidate anyone, but I think it's an interesting criticism because no one has to be a creator. Like and people and no one has to be a Lyft driver either, but all I'm saying is that like being a creator, from my perspective anyway, it shouldn't come out of a thing where I'm going to be a creator to make money. Like, uh, I personally feel like if you really, it's like, are you passionate about something? Do you love telling stories? Do you love connecting with people? Okay, cool. Maybe you should create content on top of that, um, which then can supplement some of your income, which is a beautiful thing. Um, and so, especially in a world right now where things are a little shaky when it comes to how we see the future and again where AI is going and all that kind of stuff. I, I see it more of an opportunity for those who are great storytellers, who are great connectors to leverage that ability. But obviously, no, it's not forced on anyone. Like it's just another opportunity for people to leverage a network they might have or a skill they might have. Um, and so I don't know. I've heard that criticism before, and I think it's interesting just because the idea of, well, then then don't be a creator, and that's okay. And I know that sometimes work can be hard and finding jobs is very difficult. And so that feels like an only, one of your only outlets. Um, but at the same time, it's like, you kind of understand, what you get yourself into. Yeah, I do consulting on the side, and I understand that every gig is limited, and there's a limited time, a limited budget, all that kind of stuff, and it's something I choose to do just because it fits with my lifestyle, and what I'm passionate about. And so if you're in here and you want to be a creator, just ensure that it fits with what you're passionate about and that your lifestyle. And I think that honestly, those are the people who crush it anyway. The people who love the art of creating.
Okay. Yes. I think this is really a mindful approach without being like cynical or just kind of outrightly dismissing the criticism. So that's really great, Nate. And of course, if listeners would like to connect with you, what would be the best place to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a website, heynatefox.com. It's HEYNATEFOX.com. There I have like resources, for if you're here and you're building a team, you need some operational resources, I have those. That's also where I have all my social media channels. So LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn for more professional connections, but all of it's on there. And yeah, one of my kind of as I mentioned, one of my favorite things is connecting and linking with new people and also hearing about innovative ideas. So if you're in here and you want to do that, well, you know where to find me.
Brilliant. And I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes for our listeners. And Nate, thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation. I feel we have really, uh, you know, kind of had an incredible look under the hood of what it really takes to play and win in today's creator economy. So thanks for not just giving us the highlights, but also the honest truths behind this work. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
And to all the listeners out there, if you are building, creating, or just you are curious about what it takes to stand out in a crowded world, I hope that today's conversation with Nate has sparked something within you, a new thinking, a new perspective to look into this. So be sure to check out the show notes to connect with Nate. And as always, keep blending the bold ideas with the practical, and we'll see you next time on BizBlend. Thank you.